Welcome everyone to the new episode of HR Tech Lions. I've got the pleasure today here of having Emil with me, and the topic of the discussion will be specifically learning and development, which obviously has changed quite a lot over the last few years. How are you, Emil?
I'm very good, Julia. I'm very good. Thank you very much for asking it. And yourself?
Not too bad. I'm in Italy today. Unfortunately, we are without ChatGPT. I don't know if you've heard, but it's been banned for some reason. We are always behind everybody else, basically. The only country in the world.
You can't fight the technology. It's coming. So you just got to adapt to it. Yeah, but obviously Italians are. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, we'll find an artistic way around it, right? Or some crap like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so usually we discuss about the HR trends and issues, and I think learning and development specifically, which obviously falls within the human resources department, has evolved tremendously. Can you share what you say would be the biggest trends or changes that you see in the past 12 months in the industry?
Sure. I mean, within 12 months,
we can go a little bit back as well.
If we could go back a couple of years. Obviously, the big change was COVID, and that's really affected remote learning, remote meeting. Before COVID, my business personally, we went remote a couple of months before COVID happened, so we were just fortuitously ahead of the curve. But in the old days, you just have to go out and see people and do face-to-face meetings and all that sort of stuff. Now it's unheard of. I mean, it was always going to happen. But
you sound tired just saying about it.
I love Preston, but I don't really want to travel up there anymore. And now, if I were to, I think we do a handful of face-to-face meetings every year now. Each of our representatives, it's just not done. And it was always going to happen, but COVID accelerated that change. And in learning and development. People are now doing a lot more things remotely. So going to training venues, taking a day out to do training. It's people now have much more adopted the remote model. So whether it's with the e-learning or whether it's with webinar training, that's become a lot more adopted in industry. So that's really the big effect of change. The other change which has come really within the last few months, although some people have been building up for it for a few years now, is artificial intelligence and how that's going to affect learning and technology. I think learning technology have had this traditional view of learning is something you buy off a shelf and you put it in front of someone and they do it. But now with AI, you can generate e-learning instantly, almost. So you can have really tailored learning experiences for people. Also, the AI produces learning in a very, very high quality, high value way for pennies on a pound. So the quality of the learning experience will get better. I mean, corporate learning has traditionally had a not hugely enthusiastic response to it, but we're hoping to see in the coming months, years, see change in quality of the learning materials that people are going to get. People are going to have to be trained. The world is changing, and people are going to have to adapt to the world and pick up new skills. Obviously not in Italy, because Italy stays the same. But lovely place that it is. The world's changing, so we all need to be trained on that new world and how to adapt to it. And
actually, Emil, from what you were mentioning, there's something that I was actually thinking when you were talking, which is kind of interesting, is that it's like when you have a newborn, right? If they're a girl, pink, and if they're a boy, is blue, right? What happens if the boy likes pink or the boy likes yellow, right? And this is kind of plays into the personalization of the learning experience. I take myself as an example. When I learn a language, I need to see something spelled. If I can't spell it, I can't remember it. There'll be someone else that they instead are more like of an audio learner, right? And they need to hear it, or someone else that just wants to speak it. And that's so important. I think that's probably why you see the self-paced training just doesn't work, because it's one size fits all. And if I don't fit in that size, then I'm just going to rebel to it, right? And I think that's what you mentioned is so crucial, is that if we can finally personalize the learning experience, then people will want to learn instead of just being hostage to it, right?
Yes, yeah. No, I think because industry's gone down this route of basically seeing learning as a commodity you have to have, rather than it's something that inspires and improves the employees, particularly with compliance type training. That's led to a sort of negative spiral of expectations. And I think with technology and with AI, that's going to change, because people are going to see learning of such high quality, tailored to individual needs, that it's a no-brainer. You've got to pick it up, and it's going to be a lot cheaper than it was before as well.
Yeah, that's I think that, there's sometimes in the lifespan of human beings that there's something that happens, it just changes everything, right? And I think a lot of people thought it was COVID, and COVID is nothing compared, right? But it's quite obvious that AI is coming to change the game under all perspectives, right? So I think all industries are going to have a very, very different way in which we're going to think and conceive things. So in terms of this, I want to actually ask you a bit of a weird question. So what would be your prediction in terms of where some of the things that we will see in the learning and development industry in the next 5 years?
Sure. I think, where's it going? I think we're a very brave man to say this is definitely going to happen. I mean, what I can say is where the technology is going, and then you can extrapolate that to learning development, back to anything really. If we take an example of image creation, at the moment you can ask AI to create an image, and it creates a perfect image, cinematic quality. Now that's improved in the last 7 months from something that's recognizable and quite good to something that's wow, that is amazing. And we could show you examples, but it's the advance in technology in the last 6 months has been incredible. What we're extrapolating that now to videos. Now the AI boffins are creating videos. So basically, you can type in something into text, and it comes out this furry, wobbly video. But if you extrapolate the rate of improvement in image creation to video creation, then what you're looking at is within 3-4 years time, you are not going to buy a video or buy a film from Netflix. You're basically going to say, I want a film based on Star Wars where I star in it. Make it really good. And then they'll come back to you with a movie. So movie studios won't be investing in sets or even actors anymore. I mean, I say that with regrets because I come from an acting family, but they will instead be investing in technology. And so that's where film's going. So learning production, same thing. You say to the AI engine, create me an e-learning program on manual handling for baggage handlers based in Toronto. It will do that. And it will do that based on the knowledge that's out there at the moment.
Specific accents, specific cultural nuances, probably is going to take all these things in consideration as well, right?
Yeah, use the sets as being the real life sets. It will get that from image scraping. I mean, I don't think people at the moment realize just what the effect is going to have on jobs throughout industry. I mean, it's not just lorry drivers, it's accountants, it's lawyers, it's every single. I mean, the statistics going around at the moment. There's 80% of jobs will be affected. I can't see any job that's not going to be affected. My job's going to be affected, and my job's a very creative job, which supposedly shouldn't be overtaken by a computer. So I think what we have to do as a species is adapt to it. We have to adapt to maybe going down to working less hours, which is not necessarily a bad thing. And just use the tool in the best way possible.
Like Italy does, basically.
You can't. I mean, that's the problem. You can't ban it, because eventually, it's people are going to get around that.
Of course,
you can't just take it over, because Italy. I mean, Italy is if it bans it forever, it's going to have a disadvantage amongst when you're competing in a single market. So
I mean, there's simply people are already posting VPN tools all over the internet, obviously, you know, because I mean, people are not stupid.
yeah,
Once you started using ChatGPT just as Google, which is kind of what I do, why would you go back to using Google? You know, so I think
yeah.
there's such a paradigm shift that we're going through, and I really like what you mentioned about creating, you know, the content. So it means I won't have to spend, you know, 20 minutes anymore to find the perfect GIF to explain that point on my presentation, right? Because
Mm.
I used to think, you know, I was creative because I would put GIFs and videos just to make the learner experience a bit better. But now I think we're taking it to the next level, basically.
Yes, yeah. I mean, try Midjourney. It's excellent. It produces
Mid-journey.
amazing image.
Ah.
Midjourney produces amazing images just with a line of text. But
Ah.
there's others out there. Charlie too, other image creators that are around. But they're all. I mean, the thing is, I think once you use it, you step back and go, well, this is changing everything. It's
Mhm,
changing everything.
mhm. True, true. Okay, so at this point, then obviously we it's a very positive outlook. Is there any tips that comes to your mind that you could give to either human resources trying to keep on top of this, or to learning development specialists that kind of want to ride this wave instead of being afraid of it?
Um, I I would say investigate the market, see what's out there. I mean, you can come to our company and we can show you what we've got.
Mhm,
But investigate the market, see what's out there, and just look at things with new eyes.
mhm,
There is a fear that this technology is going to take over everyone's job, and I think it will change jobs without a shadow of doubt. And there will be jobs that will go because of AI. There's also new jobs going to be created. I mean, throughout history, we've seen these things. We've seen the Industrial Revolution. We've seen.
mhm.
I mean, I remember in my time, computers weren't on desks when I first started working, and weren't they? Here they are, and we all thought, oh, their jobs are going to be taken by computers. They weren't. We just basically did exactly the same amount of work, but our letters looked better, and our mail got there quicker, and we created more mail, and it was rubbish mail. It was junk mail. I mean, so nothing really changed. I mean, there was ergonomic studies and saw that there was actually no productivity changes by computer. I think something similar is going to happen with AI. We're going to be doing lots of things that are different, and they're not necessarily going to lead to 80% of the workforce losing their jobs, but it will definitely change the workplace, and it will definitely change people's work hours and the roles that they do.
Mhm.
So, I mean, if you have a job out there that's repetitive, is rule based, you should start to think about upskilling.
Mhm.
You know,
And go to, well, again,
go to
think
your learning
about
development
learning
department.
development. Exactly. You can
There you
think
go.
about learning
All
something
comes
new.
back to us. It all comes back to us.
Yeah, I think I'm just worried because I'm quite active on LinkedIn, and it seems that these days everybody is becoming a LinkedIn guru or a coach, right? And I think the more and more we'll have more and more gurus. Like nowadays, everyone's like, I'll teach you how to use ChatGPT to do this, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure I can ask ChatGPT to teach me how to do this, right? That's literally how it
Exactly.
works.
Exactly. Exactly.
Great.
So use case in pointers in our company. I mean, I was hesitant about introducing it into the company because, programmers, they have jobs and have families to feed and stuff like that. But all we found is that we are producing a lot more stuff a lot more efficiently,
Mhm.
a lot and error free. And it's good for that. But it's getting better. It's getting better and better and better. And even in the last 3 months from ChatGPT 3 to ChatGPT 4, the change is 1,000 times better.
Enormous. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. There's a one number change, but most people do. I haven't tried it yet because I was literally gonna do it this week, and then suddenly I realized that I couldn't. But I've heard it's like they literally say it's the difference between a school kid and a professor. You know, like the quality
Yeah.
of the experience, basically.
Yeah, well, yeah. I think when I say 1,000 times better, I mean that's the processing on the data
Mhm.
set. Don't quote me on that. I might be wrong, but I think I read somewhere it's 1,000 times more. It's better. It's probably about twice as good to the human eye. But it just knows so much stuff, and it knows it can aggregate. I mean, for instance, what we do is we use it to automate the design, the production of e-learning. So you put a line of text, and
Mhm.
the e-learning comes out. Um, and it puts video characters in it. They can talk, and it puts design sets, and does all that sort of stuff. Now, what the AI is doing is it's looking at every single. Let's say we did something on I don't know, manual handling. It'd look at every single manual handling course out there. It would use its rules on what's the best pedagogical model, and then it would design something along those lines. So it's doing stuff that the human can't do. We don't have a limitless amount of knowledge, whereas AI practically does have a limitless amount of knowledge. It can look at everything that's out there. So it does a lot of tasks a lot better than humans. Obviously, there are some, and probably couldn't write a love letter in the same way that a human being could, but it could do it a lot quicker.
We should test it and see. Like it was a South Park episode. I don't know if you ever seen where
my son's told me about it. Yeah, he said,
it's hilarious when the guy's just writing the girlfriend text for ChatGPT, and then suddenly it's like she loves him even more, and I'm like, oh my god, this is where we're getting to. Okay, great. Look, this has been already enlightening. Obviously, you know quite a lot on the matter. So I'd like to move to the second part of the podcast, which is it's more towards the other tech founders and HR tech founders, and in this case, obviously, ed tech and learning development, and more like, what were your, let's say, most painful lessons when you were building your company? You know, so maybe someone else can save some of the mistakes you made, basically.
I think probably the most we haven't really had too many painful lessons. I mean, if someone tries to invest in your business and doesn't understand what the business is, I think the best thing is to don't take the money. That would be my biggest bit of advice. Also, I think at the end, if there's something if the market's telling you to do something and it doesn't make sense to you, it doesn't pass the smell test, then leave it alone. So whether it's VR, metaverse, or blockchain, if it doesn't make sense, if it's not like, if you can't explain it to a man on the street on the back of a postcard, I would leave it alone. Now, obviously that you could be into that sort of technology, and that could be, you could have a client who wants it, and then therefore you go that way. But generally, if you're doing product development, which is what we do primarily, is it go with your gut instincts. If it doesn't make sense to you or your child, then leave it alone. I mean the metaverse is a primary example. I mean, 25 years ago when I started, we were talking about VR as the most amazing thing, and that is the metaverse. And they're using exactly the same things then as they were using now, like fire prevention and training firemen. It's rubbish. It's all rubbish. It's basically they're trying to sell a solution to a problem that doesn't exist. But if you look at something like AI and you go, it can make me write a Shakespearean sonnet in 2 seconds, you go, yeah, that's good.
I'll take that one. I'll take that one.
That's technology that works. I can see that. I can see that helping me.
Whenever people talk to me about the metaverse, right? And I unfortunately was one of those guys that bought some crypto and then had to cry for several weeks straight.
I don't think you're alone, Julie. I don't think you're alone.
Yeah, I think a lot of everyone was like, oh yeah, this is the easiest money you'll ever make in your life. No, it's not, but it's the easiest money you lose in your life. But I remember whenever I see something about the metaverse, because I work for an investment fund and we see a lot of things come through. And all I think about is, I don't know if you've seen Ready Player One. Like,
yeah.
That's literally, and all I'm thinking is about,
it's a game.
So it's a game. Yeah, exactly. I'm sorry, but why? Okay, if there's a point that instead of doing a Zoom call, we can put on something and we can shake hands in a virtual world. Okay, I can see the value in that. But apart from that, why should I pay like $50,000 for a land that doesn't exist to build a shop that I can be my website and all these things? So anyway, I don't want to get.
No, but even then, what is the value of that? I mean, what is the value of that? Really, what is it? I mean, Microsoft are building on Teams avatars, so you don't have to look at each other in your face anymore. People don't want to be staring face to face. They don't want it. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
No, it's good. It's good. Okay, and then in terms of you kind of gave an advice which is quite let's say more like philosophical, I would say. Is there any other, apart from the not taking the money from the investor doesn't understand your business, which I think is golden, because then you're creating yourself a partner that is just going to look at everything you do and not have any clue whatsoever. But is there any other practical tips that you would give to someone in your position to kind of help them prosper?
I would say, I mean, starting up a company, in today's environment, you have to be flexible. I mean, be flexible with your workforce, be flexible with your hours. But, you know, if people have children, be flexible to their needs. Let them work out of office hours if needs be. Location-wise, you know, be flexible with location. I mean, some people want to go and work in the back of a van, travel around Europe. Let them do that. As long as they do the work, that's the main thing. As a boss, I'm not interested in process unless people are in trouble and people understand. I'm not interested in the process. I'm interested in the result. So as long as you produce that result and you're happy doing that, it's my job to enable that environment in a company. So we've always been flexible. We have stupidly long retention rates for employees. Basically, if they make it a year, 2 years, that they tend not to leave.
I hope you mean it's not that they sign with their blood and they are not.
Oh yeah, no, they're chained up at the wall over there. Yeah. But yeah, so you've got to be flexible to their needs and create an environment where they're happy, and because it's a competitive market, and if you've got talented people, you have to basically provide them with a workplace where they want to work, and that can be either conditions or give them shares or whatever it is. So I think it's very important to keep your people involved, and you will get that paid back in bucket loads by better work and more loyalty, and you know, they care. And I think, you know, you can tell a company where people care, and it does make a difference.
That's look, I've worked in recruitment for many years, and I wish many line managers share the same opinion as you, right? Is usually, I think COVID changed a lot how the employer-employee relationship is meant to be perceived, but still we don't have enough of people that think like you, or otherwise we would have a way less fluid market, let's put it this way.
Well, I'm sure they'll probably sell you something completely different, but that's how I see it anyway. So
I think it's very good advice. I think it's very good advice. Well, look, now at this point, like there's a part where we kind of discuss about you and your company, and I'll be honest, I'm usually curious, but today I'm particularly curious because obviously you put some really good points about AI generally, and so like, how does it all tie together?
Well, we use the back end. So we use OpenAI's engine. And what we do is we take a query. So the query could be, I don't know, financial training, or I don't know, history of ships in Scotland, whatever you want to look at. And what the ChatGPT 4 engine will do is will go off and it'll create a course. It'll create the headings. It'll create the learning goals. It'll create a quiz and give us that information. And then we can then turn that with our automated tool into a number of. So basically, we turn it into an e-learning course, and we use the content of that course to produce virtual worlds in which to base that learning. So if it's, say, a history of ships in Scotland, we will create, or the engine will create, pictures of ships in Scotland over the years, and it will have various different types, and it will voice over it. It will provide a presenter walking around. So there are things out there that are professing to do, you know, e-learning. All they're doing is they're basically just producing a ChatGPT script. What this is doing is it's designing. It's using design heuristics, which we trained it to design stuff. So what it'll do is it will look at the background, look at the content in the various positions, go and add animation to it, depending on the characteristics of the background. And it's very exciting, and you know, it's going to be a game changer, and we're releasing it at the end of this month in April. So at the Learning Tech Show. So.
Okay, so look, let's put this in context because you explained it well, but I want the people that are made it so far in the podcast to really nail it. So let's say I'm HR manager of a pharmaceutical company, right? And we just moved into new offices, and I basically need them to have a health and safety training, which is compliant to the Scottish legislation. And at the same time, I would like a colored presenter to be running your calls, and you can just create that.
Yeah. Well, we to basically they type that in. They type that in. The one thing we don't do, we won't do black presenters, just because that element of the technology is not there yet. We only got one presenter, unfortunately.
But that's
Or one woman and one man. But that's definitely something we need to change. We need to make it more multicultural.
Mm-hmm.
And we hands up on that, and that's technology we're working on at the moment. So basically, to create a presenter rather than just using the presenter.
And when you mean create a presenter, is going to be like someone that looks human at all effects, or is just a wow.
No, it won't be any difference to you won't be able to notice. He'll walk on, walk off, and say something. But all the voiceover is created as well. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the e-learning, it's really good e-learning, because this thing exponentially improves itself. It's not like there's a fat PowerPoint and there's an image. It's basically a virtual environment where things are in it and people walk in and out, and there's text there and it's voiced over, and there's animation, and it's all relevant to the content. Now you can go edit that. We have an editor where you can edit it afterwards to fine tune it, and it may do some things, do some things wrong occasionally. I mean, for instance, we were looking for a superconductor images, and it produced electronic superconductors, and it produced this person doing this. So it doesn't always get it right.
Of course. Well, I mean, there's still going to be some,
but it generally does
somewhere, right?
Yes. I mean, to be honest, that was because that image was the process to do that image was out of context. So usually it would get that right. It would look at the context of where the images are coming from, and that was something we did manually. But yeah, it's great, and it's as I say, it's all improving exponentially. So what we're doing now is going to get better and better and better. So using old tools, you're stuck with the paradigms of old tools. If you're using AI, you're on that exponential improvement curve of AI. And we've even seen developing this. The quality of everything is now photorealistic, whereas before it was more sort of the images were more sort of high quality, like games, PlayStation 5 games. Now it's photorealistic, the images we're creating.
Wow. Okay. And then look, the question I always like to ask at the end is, what's so far the thing you're the proudest of?
What am I proudest of? Well, I mean, my company, we don't just produce AI created e-learning creation. We produce a whole ecosystem of learning management tools to produce learning, to host learning, to create learning, and a library of learning content. And we believe that we best thing out there. Now we don't have we're a small company. We're a relatively small company. But it's when people come from around the world and they say, I've looked at the entire market. I've looked at 800 different learning management systems, and I believe yours is the best. And that's a company that has 250,000 employees. When something like that happens, you go, yeah, that's good. I like that. So
I like how modest you are about that.
I like it. It's never the money. It's never the money, and it should be the money, but it's never the money. It's the recognition of what you're doing is a good job, and we all take great pride in our jobs. And whether it's the service side of the business or whether it's the creation, we all take great pride in, and it's just pride in your work, really. So if you get that positively reinforced, and that's the best thing that can happen for business.
Amazing. Look, Emil, I gotta say, like, you're probably my favorite host so far, simply because
Julia, you're my favorite interviewer too.
This has been like very inspiring, and it got me even more annoyed that I can't use ChatGPT now, to be honest. But it's been great. So look, for all the listeners, there'll be a link in the post with the page, and they can check you out as well. But thank you so much for coming onto the podcast today.
Amazing. Grazie mille. Thank you very much.
Thank you.